Today we will be looking at what may be one of the greatest movies ever made. Behold Life Force. I hope that you enjoy this. Let us know in the comments. A subscription and a like would be nice, thanks. Here we go. It's August 9th, 1985, the year of Halley's Comet's return. The Space Shuttle HMS Churchill is on a joint British-American mission to investigate the comet. The Churchill has the new Nerva engine that provides constant acceleration that creates an artificial gravity. The crew detects a 150-mile-long alien spaceship hidden in the tail of the comet but are unable to relay the message to Earth due to comet interference. Colonel Tom Carlson decides to inspect the spaceship as they will not get another opportunity for 75 years. They shut down the Nerva drive and approach the alien craft. They exit the shuttle and spacewalk to a derelict-looking ship. Finding an entrance to the craft, they enter what looks like a blood vessel. They enter a huge chamber where they find massive bat-like creatures that have dried out. They use a net to collect a sample. A brightly lit aperture opens in their chamber, which they move through into another chamber that has 3 live naked humanoids in glass boxes. They decide to recover all 3 bodies and the bat specimen. 30 days later at Mission Control, Dr. Leonard Bukowski is told that they have lost contact with the crew. A rescue mission is sent to find out what happened. The rescuers find the Churchill completely gutted by fire and the crew dead. The 3 suspended animation cases holding the humanoid aliens are still intact and recovered. At the European Space Research Center in London, Bukowski says that the girl's case popped open by itself and they are waiting to dissect the body once Dr. Hans Falleda declares it dead. Bukowski sees a guard is in the room with the woman who is now awake. Bukowski runs there as the woman starts kissing the guard, lights start flashing, and it gets really weird. By the time Bukowski gets to the room, he finds the guard collapsed and desiccated, presumably dead. The woman approaches him and says, "Use my body." Falleda sees them on CCTV and runs to them. By the time he gets there, she is gone, but Bukowski is still alive. He calls security and reassures Bukowski that a naked lady will not escape. The space vampire makes her way through the building and past a security guard.
You'll never believe what I'm looking at.
Some security guards surround her. One of them tries to coax her with a half-eaten cookie. Brilliant idea. The vampire knocks 2 of them out while the other one quivers in fear. Naked vampire lady is able to blast out some windows and escape before Falleda gets there. Colonel Colin Kane
From the SAS
arrives and they inspect the corpse of the desiccated guard. Kane questions Bukowski, who says the alien had a sexual hold over him and spoke to him in English. He adds that the Space Shuttle Churchill's tapes were erased, not destroyed, and the escape pod is missing. He says the fire was caused by the ship's oxygen system and the cases, which are more like force fields than matter, were undamaged, and then excuses himself. Falleda tells Kane that he studies death and he thinks there is a life force that is conserved, even after death. He surmises that the girl drained Bukowski's life force partially and the guards completely. The 2 other aliens are being guarded by 2 soldiers. Without warning, the cases explode and the 2 aliens are standing in the room. The soldiers riddle them with bullets, but despite making holes in them, they do not stop coming. They both throw grenades at them, which blow them to bits. Nice job, Parachute Regiment. Now these are done, Falleda wants to join the ongoing autopsy on the guard. The doctor is just about to make an incision when the corpse opens its eyes and starts to get up, making a hell of a noise, much to their horror. For some reason, the doctor gets close to the corpse, and the corpse starts sucking the life out of him. The doctor starts aging and the corpse starts getting younger until it is back to the guard from earlier. He seems rather pleased with himself until he realizes what has happened. They sedate him and take him into isolation. Kane orders them to isolate the doctor and collect the body parts of the other 2 aliens and watch them. A phone call comes in saying they have found a naked girl in Hyde Park. The body is not the aliens though. When questioned, 2 boys say they saw her with another naked dark-haired woman, and when they came back to get a better look, this is what they found. Kane tells the police that they will take the body with them and suggests that the alien now has clothes. At the research center in London, Sir Percy, the Home Secretary, has arrived just in time, exactly 2 hours after the guard zapped the pathologist. The guard starts flailing around in the cell and keeps saying please, then collapses on the floor, suddenly aging and dying. Fawlata says that the victims need regular infusions or this will happen. When they visit the pathologist he needs feeding to, he freaks out and runs into the door, then explodes. I am loving this. This film is amazing. Fawlata says the same thing will happen in 1 hour to the girl they found. 1 hour later, they are observing the body. Bang on, the equipment detects life and starts bleeping, and the body starts writhing and shrieking. The instruments go off the charts and start going haywire. The body convulses for the last time and then explodes. Sir Percy asks where did the Churchill get these creatures. Kane says they have no way to know.
Perhaps that's all changing.
Says Bukowski, the Churchill's escape pod has been detected coming down in Texas. The pod is recovered and Tom Carlson is found alive. Bukowski orders him discharged from the Walter Reed immediately and for him to report in London. Before you know it, he is in London being introduced to the task force. Bukowski asks what happened. Before Carlson can speak, Kane tells him what they know. Carlson then tells them about the spacecraft and how they transported the bodies to the Churchill. Once back on board, Darebridge complains of feeling drained, and as they traveled to Earth, the crew died one by one. Rawlings, the radio officer, smashed up the radio equipment but had no recollection other than feeling weak. The next day, they found his body. All the crew members died like this except for Carlson. He knew he could not expose the world to this, so he rigged the oxygen system to fill the shuttle with pure oxygen, then started a fire in the hold. He entered the tiny pod and escaped as the flash fire spread through the ship. He goes on to say that he did not want to leave her, even though they killed all his colleagues. Leaving her was the hardest thing. Fawlata suggests Carlson get some sleep. Kane monitors him while he sleeps restlessly. Bukowski comes in and says NASA has just reported that a 150-mile needle-like object has left Halley's Comet and is heading for Earth, ETA 2 days. The Prime Minister has called an emergency meeting. Carlson has a dream where the alien woman comes to him and gets on top of him and starts kissing him. He wakes up in a cold sweat screaming. They asked him about the dream. He says she visited him and that they have a mental connection. The dream soon slips away, but Fawlata offers to hypnotize him. The next morning, Fawlata starts hypnosis and Carlson says it feels like his mind is not all his own. Fawlata asks if the connection works both ways and asks if he can see her. He can and tells them she has got a different body and is walking in the country looking for a man to get some energy from. He says the host body's name is Ellen. He says she is watching a man and his car. Kane asks for the license plate, which Carlson gives him. She gets in the car with the man and starts showing a bit of leg. The man can't believe his luck and cops a feel, and then the connection suddenly breaks. Kane calls in the details saying he needs to find that car and girl. Fawlata thinks if she is able to move from body to body and only take a small amount of energy, it's a great strategy. Kane wants to know where her real body is. Over at NASA, they have got a visual of the alien craft and it is immense. Fawlata has a skin sample that he is testing when a soldier comes in and asks his name. It is one of the male vampires that got blown up earlier. Oh. Sir Percy tells Kane that they tracked the car down in Yorkshire. The man is in detention and the woman was dropped off at Thurlestone Hospital for the criminally insane. Ellen is a nurse there. They arrive by helicopter and meet with Dr. Armstrong. They walk to Ellen Donaldson's apartment, where she buzzes up Kane and Carlson. Kane asks her about the man in the car, but she says she does not know what he is talking about. Carlson looks into her eyes and says she is gone and that Ellen is a masochist and wants him to beat it out of her to find the new host. He roughs her up a bit, then kisses her, and when she faints he puts her down. He says that he got a description of the new host. Man, that's weird. Carlson describes a patient who is a child murderer in isolation, Jeffrey Sykes, and says that they are going to hypnotize him. They visit Jeffrey Sykes in his padded cell. Armstrong suggests injecting Sykes with pentothal and morphine, but Carlson grabs Dr. Armstrong and they inject him instead. They restrain Dr. Armstrong and take him for questioning. Carlson tells Sir Percy that he saw into Armstrong's mind when they touched earlier. He goes on to say that she is trapped in Armstrong and then asks the orderly to bring 3 more doses of the meds. A female voice comes from Armstrong just as Carlson is going to juice him up. He does regardless, and the voice says that it loves him and that it is the manifestation of his ideal woman taken from his deepest thoughts and needs. They change their bodies from the bat-like creatures to suit them. Carlson starts freaking out, saying, "Let me go!" He becomes hypnotized, sees the woman, and kisses her. Kane and Sir Percy intervene, but a force comes from Armstrong's body, knocking them over and out. Furniture and debris is flying around the room, and Carlson is stuck. Kane comes to and double jabs Armstrong with the pentothal and morphine concoction booster shots. The storm stops. Carlson, convulsing, says it is already spreading. Sir Percy's neck was broken and he is dead. They realize that they missed another victim in London and that the alien vampire zombie problem is about to get a lot worse. Sir Percy and Armstrong are loaded into the helicopter and they book it for London. A call from Finlay comes in saying that the two male aliens did not die. They transferred into the soldiers. Victims can't transfer bodies, but the aliens can. He says he managed to kill one of them.
How did you kill him, Finlay? How?
The old-fashioned way, with a leaded metal shaft penetrating through the energy center 2 inches below the heart, the manipura or solar plexus chakra. There is a message from the Prime Minister telling them to head to Westminster ASAP. OMG, blood starts pouring from Sir Percy and Armstrong's faces and forming into the female vampire before falling onto the floor. Carlson says she is gone now and her body is in London. Kane says, "What really happened on the Churchill?" Carlson confesses he smashed the radio equipment and tapes to stop the Churchill from reaching Earth because he opened the vampire's case. He was forced to by an overwhelming sense of love, and everyone but him died. For some reason he was spared. A news bulletin comes in saying that large parts of London are on fire and mobs of people are rampaging in the streets. London is a nightmare with huge explosions going off and zombified people filling the streets killing each other. They land in Westminster and head inside. They go and see an agitated Prime Minister who tells them to wait for a second while he calls his secretary into his office. As they look through the door, they see him suck the life force out of his secretary, so they leave. In the next room, they see someone having a turn and they instantly decide to get the hell out of there and leave by helicopter. As they escape, the pilot says the city is under quarantine and martial law by NATO command.
NATO?
They are not allowed to land at the research center. When they do land, they are put into quarantine, which they get out of fairly easily, and talk with the commander, who says London is surrounded and will be nuked if no solution can be found. He also says the alien spaceship is currently in geosynchronous orbit with London. They see a blue shaft of light, and Carlson says the little lights are human souls going up. The ship is collecting energy, and he senses that the males collect life energy and have to send it through the female to get to the ship. Kane asks,
"Where is she, Carlson?"
Carlson thinks if he can get to the city, he can find her. He steals a Land Rover and heads over the bridge into the city. Kane commandeers the commander's car to follow him and peels out, heading into the city and through crowds of people and zombies. Carlson can hear the female vampire's voice as he is driving. He sees the location of the shaft of light and heads to St. Paul's Cathedral and enters. Kane arrives at the Space Research Center and finds Finlay. Finlay has been turned, so Kane shoots him. His life force leaves via the window. Removing the alien vampire killing weapon from the vampire's body, the body instantly disintegrates. He leaves the Space Research Center. Carlson finds the vampire. She says she knew he would come and invites him to go with her. Kane makes his way through London on foot, so close to getting eaten, that must be a rush, even for a SAS soldier. A huge blue light comes out of the tube station and leads him to St. Paul's Cathedral. Kane arrives just in time to see one of the male vampires manifest in front of him and give it the big I am. It says,
"It'll be much less terrifying if you just come to me."
Kane runs up and sticks him in the solar plexus with the mysterious sword. Its human form explodes, leaving its real form visible momentarily before exploding too. Kane heads into the cathedral looking for Carlson and the vampire. He sees the two of them getting it on without a care in the world. Shouting down snaps Carlson out of his trance, and when he throws the sword down, Carlson is able to catch it and stick the vampire through the back. The blue lights turn red and the two ascend up the column of light into a chamber in the vessel with all the countless human souls taken from London. The spaceship makes its departure. And that is it for this story. Man, what a wild ride and strange movie. How had I not seen or heard of this one already? I thoroughly loved this film and its wacky antics. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments. Peace out.